Hello, 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 people. Welcome back to an episode of the USL Show. We are so excited to be back for some more USL conversations. We were going to have the all-important conversation as, is the USL a minor league or a lower division league? But the morning kickabout beat us to the punch. Sorry about it, guys. And in all reality, the morning kickabout does a really good job. So shout out to them. But I guess we'll just have to miss out on that conversation this week. But instead of missing out on conversation, welcome back to the conversation, Mr. Alex Ashton.
Thank you. And no, not a minor league.
You heard it here first.
I will die on that hill.
Ryan, how are you?
Yeah, doing well. Been a busy few days here for me recently, so looking forward to talking a lot of USL tonight.
We have a good bit to get to. And before we get into that, we need to thank our wonderful, amazing patrons, Luke Loudon, David Horn, Josh, Dylan Reed, William Lamb, Sandy Lester, Ryan Smeltzer, Matt Caphill, Andrew Towsley, Alva Hedgehog, Kunal Patel, MOS, MF Reg 30, Tim Knox, Rion Lacara, Stephen Howard, Jeremy Churchman, Alberto Aguilar, Noah Telford, Michael Fuchs, Joshua Duder, John Fuller, Christopher Cunn, Frank Anthony, John Hunt, and Harry Austin. Thank you so much for supporting us and everything that we do. We greatly appreciate you. And if you want to have your name right at the beginning of every single episode, you can join the patrons. You can become a paid patron and seriously help us out with all the little fees that goes with running the show. Or if you want to support us in a free way, just go ahead, like, subscribe, and share this around. Thanks. All right, so let's go ahead and start off this week. And Alex, you wanted to bring up some news, and we kind of saw that Greenville's chairman, Erwin is taking us. Like, that's a big deal out of Greenville, who this is their second year without Harks. And this is also another one of the constructs of this Greenville team who had not missed the playoffs, are building a stadium, and some guy named Ronaldinho got involved. Like, this seems like a big deal.
Yeah, Joe Erwin, the founder of Green and majority owner of Greenville Triumph, they announced he was stepping back from his chairman duties. He will still be a majority owner. He'll still be on the board. He'll still be around. His son, Doug Erwin, is the vice chairman, so it seems like there might be a little bit of a succession plan there, but they said they're going to announce that in the coming days. But yeah, Erwin he's a huge name in the league. One of the original owners, founded Greenville, one of the original clubs. They've seen success every single year, making the playoffs, winning a title in 2020. He's gotten them through some major stadium woes where they've had to bounce around a couple times to less than ideal situations. And it has culminated in a 10,000 seater stadium that should be opening in the start of the 2026 season. So I think there's some more big news coming for Greenville. I don't know. It was kind of a shocker today.
Yeah, it's been really interesting just to follow how USL 1 has grown since its inception, and just to see someone like Erwin, who's been here since the start with one of its foundation clubs, taking a step down. It's just been really, it's been very interesting news to take into account. It will be very fascinating to see where Greenville kind of goes from here as they kind of move into this next chapter, if you will. But the fact that like USL 1 has been through so many seasons thus far, that we're now seeing like people who've started the league move on to other ventures and everything, has just been incredibly fascinating to watch how it's kind of grown in this first chapter, if you will, and where the league can go from here.
Yeah, and like I said, no big deal. He brought in this small-time investor named Ronaldinho to Greenville, South Carolina. Somehow,
allegedly, Ronaldinho's brother lives in Greenville.
Yeah, I think there's some sort of local connection. I can't remember exactly what it was.
That's crazy. But like, Ryan, you mentioned someone who started the league is moving on to different ventures. And most of the time when we say that, it's a little tongue in cheek because that team shut down. right? Like Greenville is still existing. They're still doing great. Like they're still fighting for playoff spots and they're building the stadium. This is not like, oh, they're moving on to new ventures like Northern Colorado. We'll get to them in a minute. And
Tucson.
ventures, we mean avoiding lawsuits. Like this is like just moving on and it's just okay. Like it's like, all right, good for you. Like this stuff happens in the soccer world and it's kind of nice to have enough stability where instability is not seen as a detrimental thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they're not having the best season this year. 6 points out of the playoffs, and but I think they're well positioned for the future.
Well, you kind of mentioned some other news with some shakeups going on in Fort Lauderdale as well in our private chat. What's going on there, Alex?
So Fort Lauderdale United today announced that coach Tyrone Mears, who led the team to the playoff final last year, is moving on to become president of soccer for the entire organization. He'll be over both the women's and the new USL 1 men's side. And then Ali Rogers was promoted from associate head coach to permanent head coach. It seems like a planned progression, succession type thing. They're not, they haven't lost this season. They're sitting in second place, 2-0-2. And now Tyrone will be in charge of finding the coach for the men's side, which we should hear about sometime over the next maybe few weeks or month.
Is there a world, Alex, that we could see a Sam Stockley, we didn't hire someone in time, so I'm just going to coach for a while situation?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't even think about it that way. But maybe. Yeah, I haven't looked that far into it. News just broke earlier today, and I'm still learning my way around the Fort Lauderdale infrastructure as the men's side comes online. But yeah, it could be.
Ryan, you have some for this? All right. And I mentioned it with NOCO. Hey guys, it is the middle of September, which means it is, despite it being 95 degrees today where I live, what's up with that? It is supposed to be sweater weather, and they finally freed Eamon. Eamon is no longer the coach of Northern Colorado. And why is that news? Because unless Eamon is going back to Ireland, he is surely about to land in a USL League One team near you, possibly a championship. So keep your eyes on that, on the former Jägermeister Cup champion. So just kind of keep an eye on Eamon Zayed dropping in somewhere fairly soon.
Yep, we have several prominent openings among expansion sides, and we're getting towards the point where we'll start seeing some vacancies in some other sides. So it'll be interesting to see where those sweaters end up. Hopefully somewhere that has favorable sweater weather.
The best one would have to be Boise, right? Like Boise.
Probably.
Or what about Fort
Lauderdale?
Madison? Madison would probably be.
Madison would be a great sweater. I have no information whatsoever about Matt Glasser. He very well could return. But Madison would be a favorable sweater weather location. Then you have places like Fort Lauderdale, Corpus Christi, down south.
Sporting Cascades.
I mean, the last time that I saw Eamon Zayed was here in Richmond, and it was the hottest day of the year. It was probably 98 degrees with just swamp ass humidity, and he still wore the sweater the whole time.
Committed. He is committed
and won the match. So I mean,
we do need more managers in this league that just has that signature look. Like flair. We need our own equivalent of a Scott Parker, who's always dressed in a suit for every match that he is for Burnley.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob Lilly does have a signature look. The ball cap with the t-shirt and pants, it is his look. We really miss Wangera. I feel like Wangera was always a good one. I'm trying to think of other guys who. Oh, was it? It wasn't McKenzie. Who was the Cash App coach in
Obleda?
he wore the scarves every week, right? Was that him or was that the other Chattanooga?
That was god, that man going back here. I
Anyway,
don't
John
think
has
that was
mentioned it.
Avoida.
John has mentioned it previously with Ryan Martin doing the, I guess, local state senator type of look that he always rocks on the sidelines. I think he's worn a scarf in previous matches as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I speak for everybody here and probably all of our listeners that we need Eamon Zayat back in our one of our leagues.
100%. Well, let's go ahead and move over to the championship. And excuse me, hand up. My bad. I'm tired. The Gainbridge Super League. Do we get to say Gainbridge? We don't get money from this. Can we just call them the Super League?
I have a tough time calling it like that.
I mean, are we about to have Gainbridge women like Barclays men? Anyway,
I don't call it the Barclays Premier League. I just call it the Premier League. No offense, Cambridge. Whatever you do.
Well, look,
give us money and we'll tell everybody what you do.
Yeah, give us a little bit of cash. We'll tell people exactly what it is. Hey, Sporting Jacks gets a good result against Carolina Ascent, where they go up 1-0 and 2-0 from Puerta gets a 1-0, and then Kemp makes it 2-0. But the Ascent show why they were the class of the league last year, despite not winning it all. They were the Players Shield winners. So for my books, they are the best team in the league. Where Madison Mercado gets yet another goal for the Ascent, and then Alyssa Walker gets the game drawer, with Mackenzie George getting an assist, which is always nice to see. In general, I'm just still impressed with what Jax is doing. Jacksonville, we mentioned it a couple weeks ago, where they went really ballsy with going really young women coming straight out of college, not a lot of professional experience and not a lot of Super League experience. I know there was just 1 year, but it would have been really easy for Sporting Jacks just to say, we're going to get all the remaining Super League players and just bring those girls in, and then we'll figure it out. They did not. They stuck to their guns. They stayed with that central North Florida area, and it's looking really good. I mean, yes, they blow a 2-0 lead, but they scored 2 goals on what was a really good Ascent team.
And really interestingly, coming from this Ascent side, is that they've now drawn 3 matches in a row for the first time since October of last year. But entering this season, and they have been good, but you're almost kind of like wondering, like, is this almost somewhat of a hangover coming from last year? Because they've gone combining at the end of last year and the playoffs, 7 matches without a victory. You have to go all the way back to April 26th to find the last time that the Ascent had won a game. But on the flip side, Sporting Jacks, having opened up the year as they have, being above 2 teams that had made the playoffs, including last season's playoff champions in Tampa Bay, who are currently bottom of the table right now, has been at least a promising start for the team.
Alex?
One thing I noticed about this match, Jacksonville only used 2 subs.
Yeah.
What was up with that?
Honestly, I need to go back and look. If I'm remembering right, I feel like in weeks past they have not used a lot of subs anyway. And I'm not sure if it's because they don't trust or if it's just it just happens to be like everybody's in the flow of things. Now, I could be talking totally on my tail here, but every time I watch them, it doesn't feel like they use a ton. But now I'm looking at it, they used 4 versus Dallas. I don't know. Maybe it just felt like they thought things were working and they didn't want to change it up. I don't know.
Yeah. And one of the subs was at halftime. So that would mean 10 of those women played all 90.
Yeah.
Or my math, 9.5.
Sure.
Yeah.
Madison Mercado for the Ascent has been really impressing me. Been really cool to see her really finish, like really come onto the scene and just show out. And she's been here, but like, you know what I'm saying. Another Mia Corbin, despite not getting on the score sheet, the way she drops in as that false nine and just kind of makes things happen in the middle of the pitch is always impressive. And Mackenzie George gets to come on and like she does what she does from the wings, and she finally creates, and she looked like she did when Brooklyn was still really good last year. She looked like she was in that kind of form again. And so it was kind of a slow start to the season for her, but it felt like maybe this might have been the match that unlocked something. So that's something I would definitely keep an eye on if I were you. Yeah,
Had a
oh,
well attended match as well. 7,402 at Hodges Stadium. They're pretty excited there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and you know, the conversation on the men's side of this, right, is well, they're not gonna start the men's side until they have a stadium. Like that was a conversation at one point. If they're willing to just go to Hodges Stadium and just play there, and they can get that 7 to 10 or 7 to 8,000, I think 8,000 is its capacity. If you're able to sell 8,000 for almost every single match, it's one of the best attended teams in the league, right? That's a great attendance. And that would be one heck of an atmosphere if you're looking at sellouts every time. I mean, Ryan and Alex, you both went up to Portland. I'm not saying that Jackson's going to be the next Portland, but you don't have to have the biggest stadium to have the best atmosphere.
Yeah, correct.
And honestly, for some of these venues, having a more intimate atmosphere makes it just improve the game day experience that much better. And from a business perspective, makes your ticket all that much more exclusive than playing in a more cavernous venue.
Yeah, and on the other hand, though, from a business perspective, they don't always get the most favorable terms when they share with college stadiums. So I'm sure they would like to have their own home that they can control. You don't get favorable financial terms and scheduling.
But for now, they'll at least be playing in a venue that's named for Kaler.
Yeah.
Why haven't they gotten me out there yet? Fly me in. All right, let's go ahead, and I want to go up to the Pacific Northwest, where Spokane, you mentioned the Sun earlier, Alex. Spokane takes down the Sun 2-0. And there's a couple of sides to this conversation. The Zephyr lost almost all of their major talent from last year. There's some players that are still returning, like an Allie Cook. Hope Hissey is back. Felicia Knox is back again, but like a lot of your big deal superstars that we remember from the Spokane team last year that went on the run, that really pushed for the playoffs, they're now, well, frankly, they're all in Lexington for some reason, because Lexington bought everybody. And they get a really good 2-0 win over a really good Tampa Bay team. We talked last week about how we thought that Tampa Bay was showing a little bit too much respect to their opponent and not playing their game. I thought in this match they tried to do that, but Spokane might just be the perfect counter to what Fort Lauderdale, what Tampa Bay wants to do. So I'm super interested on what your guys' thoughts on Spokane getting, for me, a really shocking result, despite it only being the fourth week of the season.
Yeah, if anything, the storyline that I'm taking away from this match is we talk about Carolina previously, but Tampa Bay has also had a similarly very slow start. They've now gone 4 matches without a win, and for the first time since March 8th of last year. And for the two teams who who ended last season 1-2 in the table, including the team that ended up winning the playoffs, this has been a rather surprising start to see them not putting together some of the results. Or is it more so that you're seeing other teams within the league starting to kind of catch up to the talent levels that these two teams had established from last season? And you're seeing a lot more of the, I guess, dispersion of talent across the league to have a lot of really quality players on all of these teams.
Yeah, it's a small league. So, I mean, there's going to be there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of turnover. But yeah, not a good start for Tampa Bay for sure.
I guess where I'm kind of looking here is that Spokane ended last year as hot as could be. And a lot of us just kind of said, well, Amina Ekic do just kind of be like that. Like, she won MVP for a reason. She was undoubtedly the best player in the league. And any team that loses the MVP of the league, you're not feeling too good about your chances. But one thing that I feel like we kind of got lost in with this, like, Ekic really good conversation because she deserved it, was Spokane had built a really good system. Like, defensively, they were solid. You saw what they could be defensively. And attacking wise, you felt like you only needed one, maybe 2 goals on the odd week, and that Spokane was going to be walking away with a victory. A lot of where Spokane got their goals was Amina Ekic in set piece situations, just dropping dimes. They lost Amina Ekic, but they're still creating chances and still look defensively solid. If I am a Spokane fan, I'm really encouraged with what I saw versus Tampa Bay, because it looks like that same system, that same defensive solidity is still here to stay. That isn't to say that Tampa Bay didn't create chances. I mean, yeah, they got their 14 shots off and 5 shots on target, but those shots on target were fairly easy saves for Hissy. Like, they were not incredibly difficult saves. Not all shots on target are created equally. And Spokane did a pretty good job of limiting major chances. Yes, Tampa Bay got their shots off, but it wasn't because they were the best shots. It's because they were the only shots that they could take. So I'm super impressed with what Spokane did. Are we ready to go on to next league? Because we do have Alex on this week, I want to kind of skip over League One for now and end the show with League One. So I want to go out to the championship, where I want to join and start off with Ryan's shirt mate, and that is New Mexico's 4-0 win over Detroit City. And the atmosphere surrounding Detroit City this last week was interesting. If you're terminally online, you know what we're referring to. If you're not, I'm sure you can find it on the subreddit somewhere. But they played the game for same day, the day after all that news dropped, and that's interesting. And I don't know. They go out to Isotope Park, and I mean, Zico Bailey gets it started. And then Christopher Gloucester gets a second. Greg Erst gets his, and then Valentin Noel. Oh yeah, it's that guy. By the way, Jabang and Noel just kind of merged together. Is this Las Vegas? Like, are we back to being the Las Vegas Lives with Jabang and Noel playing together and assisting with each other? Kind of crazy. But a 4-0 win, and this was a really good Detroit City team coming into this. After they added Kobe Hernandez-Foster, it looked like the Detroit had really gotten themselves back on track. And meanwhile, New Mexico, despite having a lot of good talent and a really good coach in Sanchez, it felt like the wheels never got turning. Boy, did the wheels turn that night on Wednesday.
Yeah, what's so fascinating about this run of form that New Mexico has been on, it's been very uneven to, I guess, in the summer, if you will, and yet they still sit third in the Western Conference right now, which just kind of speaks to how crazy this Western Conference playoff race is. Like, similarly, you'll see San Antonio, who had a team who also has struggled as of late, and they're sitting in fourth right now. That these are teams that are like really going against the grain, if you will, on their form to still maintain in playoff spots. But if you look at this from Detroit's side, I'll speak about this later on in my article this week, but I've really been fading Detroit when they're just not a keyword. They're a different team when they go onto the road. It's just a different atmosphere that they go into. This is their first loss by 4 goals or more since May 2024, and that was when they had lost to Louisville away from home. When they're at Keyworth, they're fine. They were 5 matches unbeaten in their last 5 home games. When they're away from home, though, it's just been a very difficult task for them. And this is a Detroit team who now finds themselves just a little bit above the playoff line right now. They're just 5 points clear of what Rhode Island is currently in 8th. And I think just their road form has played them out of possibly hosting a home playoff game, and it's likely going to cost them in the first round of the playoffs if they do qualify.
Any thoughts on this, Alex?
I mean, I thought it was kind of cool that New Mexico was pretty brutally efficient on this one with 4 shots on target and 4 goals.
Yeah, I feel like that's been the story of Detroit a little bit this year, where we see them give up small shots on target per game, but yet they kind of concede at a high rate. I don't have the conversion rate, so maybe I'm speaking out of my tail here, but like it feels like that might be a recurring thing. And maybe it's just one of those things that we got really used to seeing, like Steinwasser and net for them, who, you know, on his day is one of the best goalkeepers I've ever seen in the championship. And it felt like he saved absolutely everything. So maybe this is more or less Detroit finally having a human goalkeeper. I don't know. But it does feel like we've seen a lot more of those moments out of Detroit this year than we have in years past. If you're New Mexico, I feel like you look at that and say, good job, guys. You took the chances that were put in front of you. But you also have to just kind of look at yourself and say, why are we not creating more chances to score? I don't know. I feel like New Mexico, Ryan, like you mentioned, like they're hot, they're cold. You know, on a bad night where the shooting boots are not quite on the right foot, they have 4 chances to score, only 1 goes in, and then it's a 1-0 game versus Detroit. Maybe Detroit's able to find 1 and get a draw out of this. Instead, it's 2-0 within the first, 20 minutes? And at that point, it felt like the game was already over.
Yeah, this is going to be something that I think Detroit will be able to mitigate over their next 4 games, just especially since their next 4 games are all at home: Lexington, Louisville, North Carolina, and Loudoun. That's certainly not a easy stretch to go through, but Keyworth's never an easy place to go into. And then they close out the year with Charleston, Tampa Bay away from home. So I do think Detroit will still likely be a playoff team, but they really need to pick up these results over these next 4 games, or else this will be, in my opinion, a first-round exit.
A good point brought in by Soccer 9 Detroit, where Darren Smith and Atiz Juf both without a heavily rotated lineup, which is true. I mean, well, I say heavily rotated. This is not as much of a different lineup. I mean, LaFleur getting a start on the left is different, but Cedeno, Adebayo Smith, those are all players who've gotten a lot of playing time. Kobe Hernandez, Foster, Jop getting starts. I mean, the back line's all the same. Really, your midfield and your back line is all the same from previous matches, and that's kind of where these goals came from. It really wasn't out of the winged areas. So I don't know. 4-0 still feels extreme, even with Smith and Juf out, not in the match. So, any final thoughts on this one? All right, let's go ahead and go down south. We're going to go to the Low Country, where the Battery took on the Oakland Roots. And, hey, I guess never say die Roots, but also never say die Battery. We're 3-3. I don't know if I really saw this match being a 3-3 affair, but Charleston gets it started off by, who else could it be? Cal Jennings. They end up getting a penalty scored from is that EJ Johnson? Emmanuel Johnson? Is that EJ? Interesting. And then we get MD Myers gets a goal because Cal Jennings and MD Myers score goals. Who'd have thunk it? And then Oakland gets 2 back-to-back. Wilson gets a brace really quick. Free Wolfgang Prentice. He gets his assist. But to get the goal back and get a 3rd goal to save a point, Rubio Ruben Purdy might be decent at soccer, the Guatemalan international. 3-3 down in the low country at Patriots Point.
Yeah, and this has been a while since we've seen Charleston get involved in a really equally high-scoring game from both teams. I think you have to go back to October 2022 to find the last time that it happened, when Hartford had actually beaten Charleston 6-3 in that game. But if this was a result that Charleston really needed to win to stay within the Players' Shield race to chase down Louisville, losing those 2 additional points that they had from this one, I think, has pretty much closed the door on those chances, and Louisville will probably take the advantage here for winning the Players' Shield. But if you're looking at this from the other perspective, from Oakland, I mean, this is a really big performance from a team who doesn't typically score multiple goals in games, especially against a really good Charleston team in this one. So they did just have their 3-3 draw against Sacramento, but this is just all kind of results that you're going to look at the Oakland Roots and say it's going to build towards next season, that this could be a team that is figuring things out this year. And even though it might not end in the playoffs for this season, next year, if they can nail the offseason, should be a much improved year.
Yeah, it was kind of a shame that Charleston dropped those, left those 2 points on the table with the race pulling away like that, especially after peppering Oakland with shots, 23 shots, 10 on target, with 65% possession. They, looks like on paper they should have won this one.
Yeah, but that's also been what Oakland does this year. Despite scoring or having 3 goals scored against them, Oakland has been pretty stout defensively since Phil Auber has taken over. Guys like Gagi have really taken over and just been really good. Really, really good. Also, I think I mention this every time I mention Gagi. Dude, it's like 8'12". Like, he is one of the biggest humans I've ever seen in my life. The fact that he wasn't just eating other players to get rid of them, I don't know. I just something to consider. I don't know. Like, he is just a mammoth of a human. But the defense has been really shored up. And yes, you say Charleston scored 3 goals. Sounds like bad defense, but also, I mean, Charleston scored 3 goals. Did you hear the goal scores? MD Meyer, Cal Jennings, Rubio Rubin. Like, good luck not letting them score. We're just lucky that they only got 1 apiece and not a brace apiece, right? Like, that's the kind of team that Charleston has. And the fact that they were able to get back into the fight, Oakland was, and not give up a 4th, at the very end, I think that's really impressive and still speaks to the defensive solidity of the Roots. And for Charleston, yeah, this sucks for the Players' Shield race, but also you come back from being down a goal twice, I believe. No, just the once. And it's kind of no big deal because, well, you're Charleston and you have so much offensive firepower, it makes me want to throw up.
I mean, yeah, the team is the highest scoring team currently in the league right now. Oh, just the 2-goal advantage over Louisville. It would not surprise me if we see Charleston and Louisville face off again in the Eastern Conference Final.
No. Let's see. I do have one championship thought before we go to League One, and I just want to throw it out there because we've been talking about playoffs. A pretty much a nail in the coffin match happening tomorrow. We have a mimosa match at 11:30 Central Time, 12:30 Eastern, between Legion and Tampa Bay, where if either team win, it feels like they are going to be making that one final push for the playoff. If the teams draw, it feels like both teams are probably out of it. So be looking for both teams to just really be going for it, because this is going to be it in terms of their season. Also, the stadium's going to be full of children because it's a field trip education day. So if you're looking for a wacky, just stupid match to watch that's going to be just high-pitched screaming because, well, children, this is the match for you. Get the mimosas out. I don't care what your boss says. You got an excuse for me.
I mean, for speaking a little bit on that, Mass, the last 4 Birmingham games have all been both teams to score, and 5 of the last 7 Tampa Bay games have been both teams to score as well. So hopefully it lines up that we do see some scoring, although it would be really hilarious if we have all of that action and it ends up being 0-0.
Okay, here's my question for you guys. This is a stadium full of just children. Not many adults are there besides like the teachers. There's again a lot of children. What are the chances we get a 10-year-old streaker onto the field, just runs onto the pitch?
I hope not.
Well, clothed child, but I mean like 10-year-old on the pitch running around.
I feel like security is pretty on point at these matches. Maybe, I don't know, maybe where you are, they're not.
I mean, they're there, but not if they jump over. Like, you can jump over the railing. It is possible. And like not be hurt. I'm not asking for a child to run onto the field. However, it would feed our content forever. That's the thing I need from Men in Blazers. I need the 3 p.m. post of we had a 12-year-old run on the field between Birmingham and Tampa Bay.
Now they should let him run on the field after the match. That's always a good time for the kids.
Oh, every game they do, to be fair. Okay. Every game they open up the pitch and let families and kids onto the field. So that's already a thing, which I can only imagine. Oh, the poor players. Do you know how many times they're going to be asked for their shirt or their shin guards? I mean, that is just a bunch of kids that are just going to be asking for shirts. So, y'all ready to go to League One?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go up to the Queen City, one of the Queen Cities. Everybody claims to be the Queen City, where Naples takes down Charlotte 1-0. And it was, you look at this match and you're like, okay, like it was 1-0 and a penalty was scored by Jay Nonan. What's the big deal about this? I want to just kind of talk about the Charlotte side of this, where it feels like it has truly fallen apart. And I don't want to say one player is what kept them in this, but there is a pretty stark moment of, and I'm blanking on his name now. They sold him to Tampa Bay. Oh my God.
Alvarez,
thank you.
Luis Alvarez.
Like Luis Alvarez on this team and Luis Alvarez no longer on this team. Like I have not seen one player truly drag a team through victories like Alvarez apparently has.
Yeah, he was for sure the MVP of that team. And it's a well-deserved transfer up for him, and a little bit of money back to Charlotte. But yeah, Charlotte has not really been the same since he left. They are currently on a downward spiral. They came into this match already having lost 3 in a row, so they're fighting to stay in the playoffs at this point, while Naples came in looking to secure a spot in the top 4. Mission accomplished for Naples. That being said, like, I do think that, watching this match, Charlotte did not play particularly awful. I think they played pretty well in this one, and I think it does give a little bit of hope moving forward if you're a Jax fan. They hit the post 3 times in this match, just bad luck there. They dominated in almost every single metric, except shots on target, because hitting the post does not count as a shot on target. But they just, constantly blocked by Naples. Naples cleared 43 in this match, even without Jake Dengler in the roster. So, Naples did what it had to do to hang on there. Got a goal on a penalty kick conversion from Jaden Onan. That's now his 5th in the season. He's on a career high in USL 1. Playing with a cast, possibly injured near the end of this match. So hope that's okay. because that's another key player for Naples. Like, they are not really the same without him. He's one of those players. Before the season started, I had a chance to speak to Bob Moreno, the owner of Naples, and he asked me what I thought about Onan, and I said I thought he had a ton of underappreciated potential, and he was criminally underutilized by Lexington. And he agreed.
What? Lexington underutilizing talent in League One? That
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I think we're right on that assessment. But yeah, I mean, now you go back to Naples and they're on a roll, 10 straight unbeaten, and they're going to finish in the top 4 in their first season in the league. They are in the mix for the Players' Shield at this point. I think at the very least they're going to host a playoff game. But then, Charlotte, are they okay? Like I said, I think they showed flashes here that they are okay. But they've got a brutal remaining schedule. They're going to play Richmond, which is not so bad. But then after that, they will go to Knoxville, another top 4 team. They're going to have to host Spokane, AV, Alta, and then Chattanooga and Naples to finish out the season. So they've got their work cut out for them if they want to stay in the race and make the playoffs again.
And the fact that the Independents are currently the only team in the top 8 right now with a negative goal differential and are just 2 points above Tormenta, a very informed Tormenta team right now in League One. You could very well see Charlotte tumble completely out of the playoff picture right now. I mean, they have just 1 win in their last 12 games played. That it started out like at where they currently stand. They started the year kind of like how New Mexico did a few years ago in the championship, where they had a very good start to the season and then it just kind of fell off, but they still somehow made the playoffs at the end with a first round exit. Like that might, as it stands, be the best case scenario for the Charlotte Independents right now. But if you're looking at some of the teams who are currently outside of that playoff picture, they could very well find themselves sitting on their couch watching the playoffs if things don't really turn around over these next couple games.
Yeah, that goal differential might come back to haunt them, especially with Portland Hearts of Pine tied in points, but with 3 matches in hand. Portland has they know what they have to do here, and they're kind of on a roll. So yeah, you're right. That Charlotte is very, very dangerously close to dropping out of the race right now. Tormenta is coming up.
Ryan, I want to send you on a quick scavenger hunt. Could you find a record for Charlotte before and after Alvarez being sold? Because I just want to know what the drop off is. Because when Alvarez was there, there were conversations of Charlotte being the best team, one of the best teams in the league. Defense, I mean, it's solid. I mean, you mentioned Spangler wasn't in the lineup, or sorry, not Spangler. That's for Naples, but like they had everybody that you want defensively in Charlotte. Spielman was back there. Dimick was in the back line. Levy, always forget how to say his name, back there. Romero in the back. Omar Sis and again, they have the spine. They have the back line they want. They have the goalkeeper they want. Defensively, they are really good. But you can only rely on Christian Chaney getting a hat trick of penalties every so often. Right? Like you can't rely on that every single game. No disrespect to Chaney, but it feels like every time he scores, it's always like 2 penalties at a time. You can't rely on that every single match.
Yeah, I think Maru is kind of the same way.
Just looking at their league form, that's 3 wins, 5 draws, and 7 defeats. And to clarify on 3 wins, 2 of those wins came within the 15 days after Alvarez had left the team. Back in June.
What was their pre? Do you know?
I mean, leading into the Alvarez transfer, they had won 4 of their last 5 games.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah, they built up quite a cushion at the early season, which is the only reason why they're still in right now.
It's very much who was it a couple of years ago? Was it the Tampa Bay Rays where they like only lost one match in all or one game in all of April and then just were perfectly average for the rest of the year and just skirted into the playoffs. Like they were undefeated in March and April and then just 500 the rest of the year. And that's enough to get you in the playoffs. Charlotte is really tempting fate right now by trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think there was a college football team who started the year 6-0 and then lost their last 6 games of the regular season to go 6-6. It eludes me. I think it was like Pittsburgh who did that a few years ago.
Omaha kind of last year.
True. And then, the year before that, Omaha did the opposite thing of they tried to lose every game and then never lose again. So Omaha likes to kind of go up and down. Kind of looking at the playoff race, Omaha is like back. I mean, the tales of their demise were greatly exaggerated. But what about the Double Birds? With Texoma getting a 3-3 draw versus Spokane Velocity, where Texoma seems to keep getting these results, and I keep being shocked because when I watch it, it doesn't look good. And yet they always seem to drag teams to where they are. And I think John put it best when describing Texoma. They are kind of, and these aren't his exact words, so I'm sorry, John, but I'm just going to call them like the great value brand Chattanooga, where they're counterattacking, they're dirty, they're dragging you to their level, but they're just not quite as good at it. But yet it worked to get a 3-3 versus Spokane. And the conversation could be, is this enough to eventually get Texoma into the playoffs, despite the fact that they didn't even have like 11 players when we started this season, it felt like? Or is this more of a Spokane side of we all had them as the undisputed best team in League One, and that player shield is getting farther away from them because Chattanooga may never lose again. They may never win again, too. They're going to draw every match, but they may never lose again.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel good if I'm Spokane going into Texoma with the chaos of this match and coming out with a point. They're still, they're only 3 points back from Chattanooga. The player shield is still, I think, anyone in that top 4 can win it. Texoma, they need to get max points right now in the season. But I mean, this was just a chaotic match from start to finish. You had 4 goals back and forth in the first half. Javier Garcia making a PK save on David Garcia to start the half. Brandon McManus with a brace puts Texoma back up. Jalen Chrysler responds. Javier Garcia makes another PK save in the same match on Nico Brett. I mean, like you can't make this up. This is absolutely the chaos match of the possibly the season. That is Garcia's 5th PK save in USL League One. He is tied with Austin Pack for the all-time lead record, and he's done it all in this season.
What did Lalo get a couple years ago? Because I felt like Lalo could not stop saving penalties too.
So this is data that I got from Phil Galati, one of the broadcasters. So I didn't verify it. I'm taking his word for it. But if anybody wants to check that one out, because I don't want to do my boy Lalo wrong here. But yeah, and then you have Ajmer Spengler on Texoma playing. He's making a strong case for MVP contender in his second year in the league, with now has 8 goals and 4 assists on the season. But yeah, at the end, I think Texoma really needed to get all 3 points in this one. It's they're still in the race, but it's kind of, I guess they're 4 points back, so they're still reasonably in it if they can pull together another midseason run like they did in the midseason.
Like what was been interesting for me from the previous 5 games that Texoma has played is that they're getting outscored 4-14, and they have a negative 15 goal differential, which is the same as Westchester, which is coincidentally their opponents' tomorrow night, and like we've seen how Westchester later this weekend, and we've seen how Westchester just struggles with practically just about everyone, and like that could get them back into the postseason shape. But like looking at that goal differential and looking at the number of goals that they've conceded as being second only to Westchester in the league has not been something that is at least indicative of going into a playoff side. One scenario that I really think is going to be interesting that we want to look at is assuming that the table positions kind of hold relatively similar, and the only change we see is Charlotte tumbling down the table with Tormenta and Texoma moving up into those two subsequent spots. Tormenta and Texoma play each other on the final day of the regular season, and that could very well be looking at a winner gets into the postseason type of match if Charlotte continues to tumble down the table.
Yeah. That goal differential though, like with Charlotte is that could definitely come back and haunt Texoma where they are in the table right now. And I mean, they gave up 8 goals in the previous 2 matches and scored none. I mean, that's like they just those 2 matches could be the ones that they'll look back and be like, that's what did it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Lalo Delgado, by the way. I believe that if I'm counting this right, he had 4 penalty saves in 2023, but he also had a couple of saves in US Open Cup, which might have been where I was just thinking that he saved every penalty he ever saw. That
they don't count the Open Cup ones in the record that I was referring to.
Yeah, and I know he got 1 or 2 saves in the Jägermeister Cup as well. So, like, again, Lalo Delgado, good at soccer. But, yeah, like Avi Garcia's, I mean, like 5 penalties saved in 1 season, 2 in 1 match. I mean, just ridiculous. And that's for a Texoma team, by the way, who their first ever signing in team history was a goalkeeper. That wasn't him.
No, he Garcia came in a few matches into the season. He took over that starting role, maybe like a month or 2 in.
I think
he was not the original. He was not the original number 1.
But I don't know. I just find myself really intrigued by Spokane, I guess, because Spokane is as consistent as they come. They just keep getting results, right? But they're not quite the flashy team we thought they would be. Like, I know we had a little bit of reserves after Lexington bought everybody, right? And we're like, well, let's hope Spokane doesn't do the same thing. But when you look at the players that Spokane signed, you expected a little bit more glitz and glamour with the way that they win matches, but they really don't. They have not done that this year. So I feel like for a lot of USL fans who got really excited about Spokane preseason, Spokane hasn't had the fireworks that you expected from them preseason. But the results are results.
They're playing like a team. I mean, you don't need a star. You don't need a one single breakout if you're playing as a unit like they've been doing consistently. So I'm not worried about them.
And to their credit, Spokane does have their match against Omaha tomorrow, but they then do play against Chattanooga at home, where that game could very well go a long way towards determining who wins the USL One Players Shield. If Spokane can beat Omaha tomorrow to go level on points with Chattanooga and equal amount of games left, that's going to be a USL One match to watch this weekend.
For sure. But with the way Omaha's playing, it's a tall order to get past them tomorrow.
True. Well, Omaha's going to be without Pato because he got a red, right? So that could be a bit of a wrench in the plans because, Omaha's game plan has been get it to the 2 big boys and let's just see what happens.
But the other 2 have also been playing really well. So and then you have Mark Bronick coming out of nowhere and just lighting up left and right.
Omaha's won 4 in a row for the first time since they carried themselves basically to the league title last year.
Yep.
Well, a couple matches I want to just rattle off really quick with you, Alex. First off, I mean, you're wearing the hat, it's in the background. We had a Henny Derby, which on the wider scope of things, and this is including us, like we are a part of the media, if you will. Probably the least amount of juice going into a Henny Derby that I can remember in a long, long time. And a lot of that comes down to league position for both clubs. But ends up being a 1-0 win for Ford Madison at Bree Stevens. Kind of what did you see from that match?
I mean, it was a must-win for both sides. I think that goes without question where they are in the table. And I don't know, like, Richmond had some solid chances that they just either just went the wrong, fumbled the wrong way at the last second, or ran into the brick wall that is Burn Shipman. Giving up a goal that late, like I saw it coming. Madison really like turned on the gas there in the last 15 minutes of that match. They were pretty relentless in Richmond's half. So you can see it coming, and maybe that's the cynical side of me as a suffering Richmond season ticket holder, but it is what it is. Numerically, mathematically, Richmond's still in the hunt, and at this point last year went on a run that put them back into the mix. But I think that was probably maybe the first nail in the coffin for the season. Unfortunately, Madison, on the other hand, are they gonna keep this going? They're gonna, I don't think so. I think Madison is not. They don't have the consistency either, but somebody had to come out of this with a point, I guess. 3 points.
I guess so.
And the concern for Madison, at least moving forward, is they have just one more home game in their final 6 games, and they've just won 1 game away from home in the league all season.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I think it's coming towards the end for some of these teams in the bottom of the table.
For sure. All right. Well, let's see. What else did I wanted to ask you about? I haven't really got to hear your thoughts too much on Tormenta. Where Greenville, look, I love my guys out of Greenville. Greenville is a special place to me. I do like the club a lot. Like, I do consider myself a Triumph fan, just hand up, just because, like, like they've been good to me, and we love the area. And that's where my wife and I actually went to a Triumph game the day we got engaged. So, like, sentimental stuff. But, like, it feels like it might be over. The run was good. It might be over. But I don't know. And we've talked about it with John, but McKeever has learned how to score goals. And this Tormenta team is looking really good. This is just not what I expected in the slightest out of Tormenta. But we haven't had a chance to talk to you about it too much.
Yeah, Tormenta, like I like them on paper. I've liked them all season. I thought they had, they've had this potential. I kind of still thought the same way last year, and then it just never really happened. But they got that new coach bounce. They are now locked in the race for that 8th and final playoff spot. Could potentially move higher with a couple more wins. It didn't seem very likely a month ago. I think the last time they lost was August 16th to 1 Knoxville. No, that's Omaha. But yeah, here we go. Since McKeever took over at Tormenta, they've gone 4-1-1. That's crazy. And 1 point out of the race. And I think they could end this season as high as 5th place at this point. Especially now that they've unleashed that that goal scoring potential, which I did not expect from McKeever, who, my experience with him is he's been a very defensive minded coach at Knoxville. But yeah, they're fun to watch too. Like they just, it's kind of like Texoma. Like, these guys are maybe like it wasn't their first choice to be there, but it's a professional opportunity, and they're making the most of it. And I think the coaches have done a good job at both places in doing the best they can with what they have.
And looking at the next 3 games that Tormenta have, it's AV Alta away, then Richmond and Westchester back-to-back at home. That could very well be 9 points out of those 3 games. Like, I would be very disappointed if I was Tormenta if I didn't at least get 6 points out of those next 3 games. But this could very well be a Tormenta team that just appears in the top 8 over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm looking at the table right now, and I was going to ask you about P-Hop, Portland Hearts of Pine, and Chattanooga Red Wolves and all that stuff. But I kind of want to just, as we wrap up the show, I'm looking at 2 teams right now in the playoff race, AV Alta and Charlotte Independence. They are the most out-of-form teams in the playoffs. Do you believe that one or more teams that are outside the playoff spot who realistically have a chance of getting in, which I guess you could say it's all of them, but I'm going to limit it to Tormenta, Texoma, and Ford Madison. I'm going to limit it to those 3. Do you think that 1, 2, like just 1 or 2 teams jump those 2, AV Alta and Charlotte Independence? And if it is 2, which 2?
I think just 1. I think it's going to be Tormenta. And I think that Charlotte are going to be the ones to drop out. Texoma, they had that midseason run, but they're just not consistent. And I think Tormenta is still on, they still have that momentum. They have the fairly easy schedule to finish the season. So I'm going to say Tormenta is going to replace Charlotte in the top 8.
I would agree as well. I think Tormenta replaces Charlotte in the top 8, and I think they'll actually finish above AV Alta. So I think the top 4 right now is easily it's going to be set, and I would feel confident to say it's going to be set in that order that we're currently seeing it. But if I had to predict 5 through 8, it's going to be Omaha, Portland, Tormenta, and Alta.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there is a world where Portland find themselves in a home playoff spot. I really do. They win their 3 matches in hand. They only find themselves, right for math, 1 point behind a Naples, whom Naples does not have the easiest run into the end of the season. And Portland has, is it 7 of their last 8 matches at home? There's a world. There is a world. And this is not like a Naples bad. It's just Portland they look unstoppable at home. And they look kind of unstoppable right now, where maybe Naples not bad at all. This is not me saying they're bad in the slightest, but they just look slightly more defeatable than Portland does at the moment for me.
Yeah, I don't see anybody in the top 4 dropping that many matches to give up those spots.
It'd only be 1. Naples would only drop 1 point.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like I think those top 4 teams are pretty solid, and I don't see them dropping enough to drop out like that, even if Portland does go on a run, which very well could happen. But
test this theory. Portland has their match against Richmond tomorrow, and then they play Naples on Sunday at home. So that could very well be a result that kind of turn things around. If Portland can pick up 6 points off this week, that really changes things.
Yeah. I think Naples kind of struggled last time they were in Portland. So
I mean,
if I
I
remember
think everybody
correctly.
struggles in Portland. I don't think that's just a Naples thing, though.
It's those football lines.
uh,
I love Fitzpatrick Stadium. I had a great time, and the lines don't look that bad when you're in person. But
so I guess that's about it for me. Any kind of final USL thoughts from you guys?
yeah, I think Westchester is heading to the wooden spoon this year, unfortunately. And I think Greenville has kind of given up all of their chances for the rest of the season, and we're going to see some big changes in that organization within that roster in the offseason. Probably a lot of retirements and people moving on.
This will be, I'm assuming, of the retirements of probably Tyler Pollock will be one of the ones to circle for retirement. If he were to retire next year, it'd be the first time since 2015 that Pollock has not been in a USL match.
Wow. Does Evan Lee go back that far?
That is USL Pro time, because he was a year one FC Cincinnati guy in 2016. Did he play before that anywhere? I don't think he did. I don't know.
Both of those guys have been around forever.
Yeah, because
I think they're the only three originals left. Tyler Polak, Evan Lee, and Walefi from Chattanooga are the three original players remaining in the league.
Yeah, because the original FC Cincinnati squad, because it was Harks was their head coach. Dallas J was their goalkeeper, who made his way to Greenville, and Tyler Pollock, I think, was also the other one that made his way to Greenville. I don't remember any other year one FC Cincinnati guys making their way from USL Pro to USL League One, but I do think it would be our first year since 2015 without a Pollock in the squad if he were to retire, which is insane to think about.
Yeah. And I don't like saying that about Greenville. I wrote an article mid-season saying they were back. This is their time to head back up, and I think they spent a considerable amount of capital going on that incredible Jägermeister run, and
don't blame them.
Yeah, the regular season's kind of slipping away here.
The only other stray USL thought that I had was looking at the wooden spoon race for the championship right now. It's currently occupied by the Miami FC in 21 points. But on the final day of the season, you have a woefully out of form Monterey Bay team taking on the current team positioned in 11th, Las Vegas Lights, on the final day, which I think Las Vegas has looked a lot better under Rensing. They actually are unbeaten in their last 3 games. Haven't conceded a goal in their last 3 games, so they might not very well be that position in the Western Conference right now. But it's just something interesting to kind of follow along. If looking at the bottom 4 teams of the league, you have Miami, Birmingham, Tampa Bay, which is obviously going off tomorrow, and then Monterey Bay as your bottom 4 teams. It's somewhat competitive for the wooden spoon, which we typically can't say about wooden spoon races most years.
And Miami's doing better this year, right?
Significantly better.
And still might win the thing.
I think that speaks, and for both leagues, speaks to the competitiveness of both leagues, where we have teams that are in playoff hunts that are also in wooden spoon contention. And I know for a lot of people that'd be like, wow, that means the league is bad, but I really don't. I think that both leagues are really good. I mean, this Westchester team a couple years ago might have found themselves fighting for a playoff spot. Instead, they are easily the worst team. So, it levels to the league as it continues to grow throughout the years.
Yep. And I remember asking earlier this season, is Monterey Bay for real?
I said no, and I still say no. So
you were right.
It turns out, what's his name? Is his name Kelpie? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Me and Kelpie have beef, and I'm just starting that now. Although Kelpie doesn't have the same online presence as Bolt. Bolt's fall off has been crazy though. So rest in peace, Bolt. Anyway, any final thoughts? Let's go ahead and get into final thoughts, I suppose. Alex, what you got?
Oh, let's see. I've been catching up on a lot of TV. Still watching Hacks. But started The Paper, started The Day of the Jackal, started Alien Earth, started the new season of Only Murders in the Building. Kind of like just watching one episode from each one, like we did back in the day, before we binged, where you had to watch one episode of one show and then watch an episode of the next show.
Welcome back, cable television.
Yeah, with no commercials because I'm streaming it all.
Ryan?
Yeah, Taskmaster Series 20 had their debut episode on YouTube last Thursday. It seems like it's going to be a really great cast this year. I mean, last series really set a very high bar to surpass. So I'm excited to dive into the remaining 9 episodes as they get released over the next 9 weeks. But it's just a really delightful British game show that anyone, if you want to laugh, you'll have a really good time with it.
Very fun. Let's see. One of being a band director, you get to do a lot of fun things, and like kids just get to they like to just show you videos of just like music, which is always fun. And they also request songs to play constantly. And I had a group of boys come up to me like super excited. And they're like, "Can we please play Party in the USA?" And I was like, where has this come from? Like, what are we talking about? And I thought it was a joke. Turns out Jackson State University has a version of Party in the USA that they did for the Labor Day Battle of the Bands. And it is absolutely fantastic. And I absolutely understand why they want to play Party in the USA now. But it was like, I mean, it's just a group of teenage boys that were like really excited about playing some old Miley Cyrus, and it made no sense to me.
When did that song come out? 2010?
Oh gosh, Ryan looks like he's on it.
Oh man, I remember it was out around one of the Gold Cup runs, so maybe it was 2012,
2009.
So
it was late. It was late 2009. To be fair, so you were very close with
World Cup. World Cup
2010.
Yeah. Party in the USA, Africa, Waka Waka. I mean, like we had all the country songs going on, So, but yeah, that was just a jarring moment. I was like, "What? Okay, I guess you're asking for that. Cool." So, I think that's about it. Anything else? We all good?
All right.
Thanks to all the people who watched. Thanks to people who listen. Sorry about last week's podcast being uploaded late. The school blocked Spotify, so it's like impossible for me to upload unless I do it at like 5:30 in the morning, which some days I just don't do. So if it gets a little bit late, it's not your podcast player. It's literally just me. So sorry about that. Hopefully this will be up in time. Thank you all so much for listening. For the first and final time of night, here's Alex's voice.
Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show.
The USL Show is now proudly part of the Protagonist Podcast family. Please go to protagonistsoccer.com to check out more work. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see everyone again next time.